శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. అందరికీ నమస్కారం. In this video, let us examine what is fear. You see, one person was riding a motorbike on a cart road. Besides cart road, there is a deep valley. So he was riding on the motorbike, and it is completely dark. So while riding, while negotiating a curve on the cart road, he slipped. The bike slipped. The bike fell on the road, and the person fell besides the ghat road in the deep valley. So in falling, he caught hold of the branch of a tree which was hanging down the road. He was terribly afraid because he knows it's a deep valley, and if he leaves the branch, he will fall down into the valley and meet the death. So he was very much afraid and caught hold of the branch throughout the night with fear. So the sun started rising, and then the sunlight dissolved the darkness, and he wondered to see that he was just 4 inches above the ground. So he was all through the night hanging from the branch of the tree above 4 inches to the ground level. So because there is a parallel, a base besides the road, as it is a curve, and so there was a tree on that base. So he fell and caught hold of the branch of the tree, and because of the darkness, he could not venture to fall, because he knows it was a deep valley. The sunlight could dispel his knowledge of the deep valley, which is there, of course, just a few yards away from the spot where he was on the ground. So all our fears are like that. The fear is like a shadow of a man. See, when you are walking towards the light, the shadow, your own shadow, follows you. It was from backside. Your shadow falls on the backside of you. But if you are walking opposite to the light, then your shadow falls ahead of you, in front of you, and you will be following your shadow when you are opposite to the light. So, what is light? The light is wisdom. In life, fears are there. Fears are caused because of the following factors. See, when you are sleeping, you may have a dreadful dream, a nightmare. When you wake up, you laugh at yourself because it was a dream. But remember, the fear is non-substantial, like shadow. But it is not non-existential. As shadow exists, the fear also exists. So, the impact of the fear is real, because when you wake up from that nightmare, you will be still perspiring for your breath. You will be trembling, your whole body will be shaking. This is real. You experience it, you go through it. But remember, in such a case, how to overcome the fear in any situation. See, as you observe, in general, people are afraid to approach the places where fear exists. See, people are afraid of darkness. People are afraid of loneliness. People are afraid of extinction, I mean death. So, why we experience that kind of fear? See, in darkness, on a lonely path, your shadow may frighten you. Like that, because we see so many people dying in misery, in frustration, in depression, in all kinds of pains. So, in old age. So, all these factors frightens you. And most importantly, the death, the after effects of death. What happens in the old age? What happens when we are sick? So all these factors drive us to fall into fear very often for an ordinary person. As we observe, because of any unknown, whether it is object or happening or event, which is unknown, that frightens us. If you are familiar with the situations, you will not be afraid. But in an unknown territory, in an unknown situation, unanticipated situation, naturally you will be afraid. So, how to face the fear? How to overcome the fear? A master was asked by his disciple to share some of his childhood experiences and realizations. Then the master said, when I am a child, my mother used to frighten me that if I do not behave properly, I will be put in a dark room where a devil is there. So she frightened me like that, the master said. Then he said, the master said to her, to his mother, put me in the dark room. So, frustrated with his behavior, his mother put him in a dark room for a while. After some time, she opened the door and she was surprised because the master said he did not cry, he did not scream out of fear, and he came out very cheerfully. The mother got surprised and he told mother, there is no devil inside. That's what he told. And the master told the disciple, what I learned from that experience is, whatever you are afraid of, from whatever object or person or situation or whatever it is, face it fearlessly. You face it, then fear disappears. So he told the disciple, that is the lesson and that is the experience he has got from that situation. So like that, whatever I am sharing, these are all live examples. The fear is full of your imagination. What happens? Full of imagination and lack of wisdom. You see, an young man who was about 25 years, he was very much afraid, well-educated man, all that, well-placed, good employment and all that. He was very much afraid. Normally, people of that stature, in that age, are normally afraid of life. And they want to find security in education and employment. So likewise, he was in a good employment, but he is very much afraid that if he does anything wrong or if he goes late or whatever it is, for any reason, he may be terminated and he will be on the roads without employment. He is very much afraid of his employment. Wherever he worked, he was carrying this kind of fear. So, though he does his duties in a normal way, but this hidden fear was there. So, one day out of frustration, of not because of the employment, because of his personal things, whatever it is, whether failure of love, whether domestic events or whatever it is. He was very much frustrated. He thought that his life is more important than his whatever it is, that employment and other family life. He was not married at that time. So one day he resigned the job himself. He took his own decision, went at 10 o'clock, submitted his resignation, and by evening he got relieved. So he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have any property. He doesn't have any background. I mean, the background of the family or anybody, because he was a fatherless gentleman. So then he was having only one hope. He was having little money. He wanted to do something with that, and he has done it, roaming here and there, taking shelter in some of the relation's house, and he lost all that. So whatever the saving he got, it was ended up in loss. He was having a hope, fond hope, that with that little money, whatever he has invested, he could, if he fails in business and he could not make any profit, at least he will have his own capital and he can get another employment, something like that. He thought of it, but he lost everything. So he was penniless, and there is no other go for him except to commit suicide. Nobody is there in relations or in friend circle to offer any sympathy also for him, because he left his employment voluntarily without any thought over it. So in that situation, he slept, and what prayers he has made to the God, only God knows, because he was not spiritual, he was a young man. And the morning, early morning, suddenly he came into contact with a very influential person, very wealthy person, very influential person, and that person was very strong in all fields, whether political, whether economical, or anything, whatever it is. He was a very influential man. So that influential man has come into contact with this young man. He himself has come. This young man doesn't know him at all, but he has somehow, he traced him and all that. So he called him, and then after hearing all his this thing, he said, "People are like that. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. Do whatever you want." Like that, just God appeared in a human form before that young man, and whatever the boons the God can give, he said he has given all the boons to him. But this young man tried, he just tried, and finally, without his help, after a few months, he again went into the mainstream of life with employment and all that. The point is, he was very much afraid of the employment till he resigned, till he left the job. Afterwards, he was very happy, and he has done whatever he wanted to do, and again came back to the employment. And then the story went like that. That's a different issue. The point is, from that day, he lost the fear of that he may lose employment, he may not get something again. Like this kind of fear, the fear of employment, the fear how to sustain, how to get on in the life, all that disappeared with the association of that wise person. See, the fear was there. When he faced it, let me leave it. When he left it, he completely became a new man. The divinity, that all merciful God, has come to his rescue in that wealthy person. So, what I want to share is the divinity which has given you birth, which has given you life, which has given you all its love, will not forsake you. The Creator will not forsake you. Remember, He will always be with you in any situation. And in fact, He is with you all the time. So, for another example, a swimmer is there. He knows swimming. So, he can jump into any waters confidently, so that he is not afraid of the waters because he knows swimming. But when two persons, one is a swimmer, other is he doesn't know anything about swimming. So when they were traveling together in a public transport, accidentally they fell into a river, a flowing river. So the swimmer was not afraid. He knows the swimming. But the other person who doesn't know swimming, he accidentally fell into that river. But for him, he, in that moments of these things in the water, he caught hold of a log, wooden log, and with that he could move to the other shore of the river, and he survived. The point is, even the swimmer, expert swimmers also feel a kind of fear when they don't know the depth of the waters in which they are swimming. But this man, the other person who doesn't know swimming, who caught hold of the log, he is not afraid of the depth of the waters, because he is floating along with the log, wooden log, on the surface. See the providence, that existence the divinity, how it protects you. It does not mean that you should not learn swimming. You should learn swimming, but aware that the divinity always takes care of each and every one in its own way. So do not worry, do not be afraid of either old age or sickness or any kind of situation in life. Remember God, remember His love, recollect His wisdom in protecting you since your childhood in all situations, and then you will be able to overcome the fears which will be surfacing in life at various points of time. My dear friends, fear is non-substantial. It is like shadow. When you face it, it disappears. So, any kind of fear, face it, it dissolves, it disappears in the light of the wisdom of God. It is a shadow. It doesn't have any existence, substantial existence of its own. It arises out of the ignorance of our self. You are the creation. You are the creation of that merciful God. How can He forsake you? Remember His love. Be fearless, be joyful, be cheerful, because your Father, Heavenly Father, is behind you always, all the time. So, thank you.